Okay, so this is a live stream because I haven't had much time to work with my orchids, and I'm sure nobody's watching YouTube at noon on a Friday, but this way I can at least make my video blog and it will be recorded on YouTube. So as the state has opened up, I'm going into work and I am unable to be home with my orchids. And someone asked basically, how do you water your orchids? Well, it's summer and there's a very easy answer to that. I use a hose. So I'm going to try to share the watering of my orchids live, as well as share what I have blooming. So, hey, that's what this is. So let's see if I can turn my camera around. There we go. All right. So here are my orchids. Whoop! And I just slammed myself into a chair and fell. My Encyclia alata is blooming, and I'm gonna water my orchids. And I have to find a place to put the camera, because hey, I have a lot of stuff here right now. So in the summer, the reason I take my orchids outside is that it's much easier to water with a hose in the summer. And I'm not quite sure why someone left a comment asking, please show me how you water your orchids, because I'm pretty sure that a hose is fairly self-explanatory. The question becomes is, can I put my camera someplace, well actually my phone someplace, and not break everything in the process? So here we go. Let's see. All right, there we go. So I have my trusty hose just laying on the ground right here. I finally got my exterior faucets fixed, and this is basically how I water. I like to do a fine mist because what's important in watering your orchids in the summer is keeping the humidity up. Normally I try to water earlier in the day, but as I said earlier, since I'm having to go into work now that Illinois is opening up, I haven't actually been home this week. I've actually been at my workplace. And so this is the first day that I'm working from home, and I'm taking my lunch break to water my orchids. So this one fell down. This is my nano chip, and it looks like it's surviving. I really need to repot these. They, I think the Latoria type Dendrobiums need a lot more water than I give them. So a lot of them do okay in the summer, but then once winter comes around, they develop these basically ugly yellow dead growths, and then they die. It's because they come, like I get these from H&R who are really known for their Latoria Dendrobia breeding. They come potted like this, and then I don't repot them, and they don't get enough water, and then they die. So I'm hoping to repot all of these in my summer orchid plans. So there we go. Me watering. I need to get fewer of my orchids into mounts and into pots, because I basically, as you can tell, have all my mount space taken up. When I water my mounts, I like to start from the top, and that lets all the ones on the bottom get coverage. And some of them, I like also have some moss on some of my mounts. And I like to make sure they get nice and well soaked, so everything is really humid. So in the summer, from the heat, water evaporates, and it's harder to keep the humidity up. And so I water a lot more in the summer, and usually it's better to water in the morning when the stomata for the orchids are more open and they're more likely to intake the moisture. They have a tendency when it's really hot and it's midday to close up, so they're not intaking the moisture that I'm dumping on them right now, but at least I'm getting their area nice and moist, so at least at the ambient humidity is nice and high for them. I've got orchids on both the front side and this back side right here. My orchid organization this summer is very similar to what I had last summer. And that's because I haven't had a lot of time to, well, I actually really liked, it's not time, it's more like I really liked my organization last, and so I decided to keep it. So I think this is pretty self-explanatory on how I water in the summer. I use a hose, trying not to get my phone all wet in this. And we look down here underneath this shelf. You can see the divisions that I've made right here. So what I'm watering right now is the Aristocrat that I divided, right? Keeping them nice and moist. You can see they have new growths coming out of them. This right here is Lake Kachuma New Spring that I divided. Here are my Hoyas. I have a whole entire tray of the Cataleas. If you saw my unboxing from the February purchase of Cataleas that I made from Sunset Valley Orchids, they're all in a tray together. They have, you can see right here, I think, and get close enough, there's a sheath right there. I think it might bloom. I'm very excited. There looks like there's a little nub at the bottom. And so on this fine mist thing, it takes a lot longer to water than if like I power hosed it, but I'm really trying to get like everything well soaked because it's all gonna evaporate by the evening. So just really trying to raise that ambient humidity here. It's pretty boring, I guess. And that's why I'm doing this as a live. So basically, it's once it's done, not gonna edit, super boring video. It's just everything gets watered and it's done. Here's the Aristocrat that I'm keeping for myself. It's still pretty huge, but it's no longer overhanging its pot everywhere. If you saw my Tracianum repot, it's right here. And so then, let's see, let me circle around its wall. And so many, these are a lot of community pots right here that need to be repot. I have one of my 2 bulbophyllums right here. This is right here behind it that I'm watering right now is the Aristocrat that I have, that I did the video on the repotting. This right here, these pieces are the, no, I'm sorry, not Aristocrat. This is the Guatemalensis. Guatemalensis right here. And then this is the Guatemalensis 10 Peaks that I divided, and I didn't videotape it because it was a really brutal hatch job. But you can see all the pieces right there. So a lot of these have not been potted up yet. I'm going tomorrow to Orchids by Hausermans in Villa Park for AOS judging, and I'm intending at that point to buy a bag of their bark. I have perlite and I have sphagnum moss, and I'm going to make my own potting mix, and then I will pot up everything at that point. So that's why these are all sitting bare root right now on chairs. Just trying to keep them upright until I get around to actually being able to pot them up. The pieces are still available for purchase on my little Google Pages website if anybody wants pieces. I had a lot of interest where people like basically wrote and said, hey, I'd like to buy a piece, and then we got to the point where I was like, okay, you have to PayPal me money. They stopped responding to emails. And I kind of expected that, but basically there was a lot of interest and they're all still here. So that's how that's going. Let me see, do I have any other stuff in bloom out here? Not really. This is like the lull. This like early June right here is like the lull that I have before stuff really blooms. I mean, mostly it's this huge Encycliolata that's coming into bloom. Oh, I have, what you've been seeing right here is these are my Equigenera orchids that I, remember that they froze. And so I have the replacements, and then I have a few of the ones that didn't like die from the first time around. So this like right here is the Forsythia septra from the first order that got See like all the frost damage on it, and it didn't fully die, so it's still alive. The replacement that they sent died in like a week, and I was just basically like, if both of these dies, I was not meant to grow Septra. This is the Brassia girodina right here. You can see like all the frost damage that was on it. So those are all the places where it froze during transit. But it seems like most of the plant is making it on there. I mean, some things just like totally are croaking and I should just unpot them. So like this is the Dendrobium entonatum and it's like a twig, right? So really this, I mean, look at that. That's like dead. So a lot of the stuff just didn't make it. This is the Dendrobium thursiflorum that I got as a replacement from them, I believe. Oh no, this is the original one. It didn't die, and it looks like it's putting out at least one bud. So I'm pretty excited that I managed to save that one. But like this Pleurothallus that I got from them, so this is Pleurothallus erythrium, and this is the replacement, and it looked really sad when it arrived, and it's only getting sadder. You can see it's not going to make it. So I did pot these up right away. These are the replacements, but they don't seem like they are going to make it. So that is, I think, the update on my Equigenera frozen plant / replacement order that I have for them. Really sad to say. I mean, okay, so this is the table. This would be where I do my repotting in the summer, and you can see it's covered in plants still, but I have thankfully managed to make some space. Okay, there doesn't look like I made any space, but you know, I did do a little bit of repotting. I did offer up divisions for sale, and I want to show you something that's really, really awesome. When I come right here, look at that. There's this big empty space on this bench. Like, whoa, empty space. Okay, only I would be excited by empty space, but it means I can move something off that huge honkin' table and into my collection area. I have my dendrobiums down here. You saw me watering them. I'm gonna have to bring the hose around and put the phone down or end this live to get to them. They need basically also to be soaked. You can see already. So I watered them yesterday and this is already really dry. I have this catasetum right here. So this is the project plant from High Desert Orchids from 2 years ago. So this is the 2019 project plant. And mine, this is the first time mine is blooming. So it put out the spike, I think starting in April. So this thing has been spiking for like over a month. And we're finally reaching the point where it's going to start to open. I'm expecting it'll be a brown. Hopefully I'll remember to share it when it actually blooms and see if I can get it back without breaking all the spikes left in it. Everything is very tightly packed now. Oh good, I didn't knock any of the flowers off. So that is this area down here, and then because of my hose limits, I have to do these weird things where I have to drag my hose around the table in order to get it to the southern end of my area. But, and I can't walk really fast. Oh, if you want to know what maxillary tenuifolia Yamata looks like, here is, whoops. This is, where is it? Right there it is. So that's the Yamata. That is the one that I got from Carmela's, and you know, like in that big like mystery thing back in February, March, and it's blooming. So, oh yeah, it was part of the flask order that I got where I wanted to have practice flasks, and so it came. I was like, oh look, everybody wants Yamata. And now I have, and I had just like 5 days before that order arrived, bought a Yamata from High Desert Orchid. So now I have 2 blooming yellow Yamatas. Just took a while for them to put out buds and start to bloom. So here's my vanilla. So this poor guy actually did suffer a tragic freezing. So over Memorial Day weekend, we dropped down into the low 40s, high 30s, and you can see right here, like this is not planifolia, this is vanilla odorata, and it did freeze. So you can see all these tips right here, and then like see this, like this growth area also just totally froze. So I can't, like the day at the few days after, it looked fine, and then like, you know, in the middle of the week I looked at this and realized that it had actually frozen. I was a little sad, definitely sad, but well, what are you gonna do? I have, look, sadly, look, more orchids just sitting on chairs right here. I really need to get these into my collection. I am totally unable to fit everything in. So my database currently says that I still have 830 orchids. I'd like to cull another 100 orchids out of here. It's very difficult. I do think I may try to stop growing vandas like I have right here. They are really hard for me to water in the winter. I mean, in the summer like this, right? This is like super, hold the hose over them. The water just goes, right? But it's not even. Like, say I've done one side and now I have to walk past this dripping tower. There's not that much room. And drag my hose with me. And then I have to water the other side, which has not gotten wet at all. And this is just really hard to